And we are live. Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning.
Wonderful.
Juanita.
Good to see the both of you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Good
it's always so
morning.
wonderful. My beautiful Daniela, of course, I have to say welcome at the Alma show this morning. We had a few technical difficulties, so we are doing it a little bit differently today because we have our special guest, Rob Wentz. And I just want to say to the audience, you know why I call Daniela beautiful? I was in New Jersey and I was visiting with her, and she walked away, and I was saying something to her, and I said, "Hey, sis, you know this and this," and she didn't respond. And then I said, "Hey, my friend, you know this and this," and she didn't respond. And I stopped and I said, "Hey, beautiful." And she looked around and I was like, "Your name is not Daniela, it's beautiful." That's what you respond to.
So now
So
I know. Now we know. Okay.
Yeah.
you know why I always
my
say my
God.
beautiful, and she is beautiful. She is the co-founder, of course, of the co-author network. We are so blessed to have you, Daniela. You are such an inspiration, and to have Rob here. And just to read a little bit about Rob from his Facebook profile, he's the owner of Lit Coaching Academy for Excellence, the Unstuck Movement podcast. And I had the wonderful privilege of being on his podcast last week. Thank you so much for hosting me, Rob. You are doing a great job, and welcome.
Well, thank you, Juanita. Thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Everybody has a podcast, so it's so much fun to be able to like have these conversations back and forth. It's awesome. And Danielle, I can't wait for you to be on my podcast also. I've got you scheduled coming up. It's wonderful to be in such great community with such great people. So I just want to thank both of you for having me here today. It's a beautiful day. I love getting up early and getting things started. You guys make me get up early, which is an extra positive because I'd be sleeping in. I might hit the snooze a couple of times, but I know when I got to come on your show, it pops me right out of bed because I'm so excited to have a conversation. So thanks for having me here.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
You. There we go. Well, we're going to go into the ARMA updates. We are busy with quite a few projects here at the ARMA, family, the Author Millionaire family. And we have anthologies coming out this year that are super exciting. We recently hosted our second annual business boot camp in New Jersey, Cherry Hill, and that event was a tremendous success. Feel free to go onto Daniela and Emilio Roman's Facebook pages, as well as mine and the other ARMA members, and just view, the feedback that we had there. It was a tremendous success. We had 15 authors launching their books, as well as 11 co-authors, of which Daniela had the co-authors as well in her Behind Closed Doors book. And the third edition is coming out in January 2024. So would you like to tell us more about your anthology, Daniela? We had such an impactful time with you and the ladies there. I'll never forget it.
As I reach over for the book. Yeah. So thank you, Juanita. So this was the second edition. I had launched the first one the previous January at the first business book camp. And this year did the second edition with, 11 beautiful, courageous women in that book sharing their stories of overcoming domestic violence. So we'll continue that. And the third one will launch at the third annual business book camp next January. So really excited about that. You can reach out to me if you want to be a part of this amazing book. And Spiritual Fitness Survivor. What a coincidence, because we have Rob Wentz on, and we'll let him speak more about that because he's spearheading the group. He is in this book with so many other amazing authors that a lot of you know of. So that's also going to be launching. I stand corrected. I almost said January. It's August 19th.
Yes.
2023. This will be launching in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which also happens to be Emilio's birthday that day. So we'll be launching that there. And there's, I think, this is over half filled. So guys, if you want to take advantage of being in this fourth edition, this is a special edition because we kind of put this to rest for a couple years. We did the third edition a couple years ago, and now we kind of resurrected this, and we have been having an amazing response to this. So again, our guest Rob Wentz is in this book, and there's a group with all the co-authors in it that keeps them updated, on all things Spiritual Fitness Survivor. So excited about that.
Absolutely. And I'm chapter 7. I can't wait.
I'm sorry. Yes, Juanita's in it. Hello.
I'm going to be co-author with Rob.
Yeah, I'm right behind you. I'm chapter 9. So
Yes.
I'll be following up the amazing story that you're going to tell. Who's in between us? We're sandwiching somebody. I don't know who it is.
I believe
I don't
Nikki
know.
Cuesta. I believe Nikki
Oh.
Cuesta is 8.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, it's me, Nikki, and then Rob. Oh, that's amazing. What a wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful edition of the Spiritual Fitness Survivor,
Mhm.
4th edition. Also, we have Gabby that's going to come on in a few minutes, in a few seconds. I just want to also reiterate about the Born to Risk anthology that we are currently promoting also for January 2024. I'm going to be in chapter 2. I know Jose Escobar is chapter 1. So anyone that has that story to tell about the things that you've gone through, the risk that you took, how it worked out. I know it's not maybe always going to be, not every risk that you take is going to work out positively for you, but sometimes and most times there is a lesson that you learn. So bring those chapters, think of that story in your life when you were stuck between a rock and a hard place and you had to take this very big risk in your life, and you just did it. You just jumped. You had the courage to do that. Now, with that anthology, there is also a documentary. Daniela, will you tell us more about the documentary that's attached to that anthology, please?
Yes. So besides sharing your story in the Born to Risk anthology, we're going to have a documentary attached to it where the co-authors have an opportunity to be a part of that, share a few minutes of speaking or share something about their story. And that's a whole separate thing aside from the book. So if you want more details about that, just reach out. But that's going to be exciting because it's going to be it's almost like a movie premiere. It really is. It's going to be like a movie premiere as part of the 3rd annual business book camp. So if you guys want to be a part of that, it's just going to be amazing. Reach out to myself or Emilio or Juanita, and we'll share more details about how you can be a part of that. And before we go on, Juanita, let's make sure that first of all, people are sharing. And Juanita, from your end, if you can share and tag Emilio and my page, because again, like from the beginning, if you weren't on here, I wasn't able to do it from my platform. So we want to make sure that it's being shared and on the right platforms.
Absolutely, sharing that right now, and very excited to have our amazing Rob Wentz with us this morning. So Rob, tell us a little bit more about what you do, and your focus at the moment. You have such a wonderful project going with your podcast, and you are just involved with many things. Would you like just to tell the audience about that?
I would love to. Thank you, Juanita. So, yeah, I'm an executive personal development coach and a life coach, and I started the company Lit Coaching. So, Lit stands for Lead, Impact, and Transform. This is actually my old logo in the background. It has technology, but it's transformed now. And the concept was, I found that I knew I needed to be the leader in my own life. And this company, my coaching practice is to help people become great leaders for their own lives. I think the word leadership and the word leader has gotten screwed up over the years. It's been confused with different things. I think the meaning of it is kind of lost its appeal. It's because I feel like in a lot of companies, we don't see great leaders. We don't see people being great leaders. Like when I do presentations or I speak in webinars or seminars, I always ask the question, who is somebody that you look up to in your life as a great leader? And most people don't have an answer to that question. They don't have an answer for somebody they can think of in their life who is a great leader. So I really wanted to transform that name, that title, like leadership. What does that mean to be a great leader? What does that mean? So that's the main highlight of what I like to do with Lit is create great impact, transform people's lives, but make sure that we're becoming great leaders in our life. So from that, I started the platform, the Unstuck Movement, which is the podcast, right? Because I through coaching, kept hearing the word stuck. People were stuck in many different places in their life. And I thought it'd be really cool to tell the stories of how people got unstuck from really difficult places in their life. And Juanita, you were just on telling your story, which was amazing. You can go to my Facebook page right now, and we were on live on my Facebook page, so you can watch that. It's Rob Z. Wentz on Facebook. If you want to find me, look up that story from Juanita and watch her story of how she got unstuck. Those stories are really important because for me personally, I've been stuck at many different places in my life. Danielle, I'm sure you have. Juanita, I'm sure that you have. We all have, right, at different spots. So how do we get unstuck? What are the steps, the pieces of the puzzle that get you out of that place in your life? That's the point of the podcast, is to like help people have that breakthrough, give them the strength, the courage, the faith to keep moving forward, to have perseverance, because there's proof that you will have a better life. You will see great things on the other side, but you've got to get through that stuck part of your life. And then the Academy of Excellence came along because I was doing this and I wanted to have a community of people that I could get together with so I could help bring everybody together. I think the four tenets of the Academy for Excellence are vision, action, service, and community. And the community part of that is like, if you don't have, that's why I love AMA. That's why I love the CLA, why I love Unleash You, BLN, all these different groups, right? Because people come together who are like-minded, driven people who want to work together, who help each other. When we do that, we can all rise together. So I think that's a really important part of leadership, is being around great leaders. And in a nutshell, that's how all three of those things happen. And they're all built around a growing community, becoming great leaders together, loving on one another, and being of service to one another.
Wow, I love that. Thank you for that. And real quickly, Rob, can you say Juanita's name?
Juanita.
See, I love the. Does anybody else pick up on that? Because I'm from Jersey and I'm like Juanita. It sounds like a D. He's like
Juanita.
Specifically pronounced like Juanita. It's so funny.
I usually just say J. I like saying J a lot more.
But it's funny, the accents, because I have like the typical Jersey accent where everything sounds like a D. Like instead, like people say water, I'm like water. Like, is that a D? Like, how do you spell that? You know what I mean? Like, I pick up on that because of the way I speak. It's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because when I was younger, I would mumble, right? So I started like enunciating things. So I think that's why I try to make sure
very well.
saying it right.
I picked up.
Beautiful. I love the T. I love the way you say it, Daniela. I really hear Jersey when you say that, and I love your accent. Absolutely. And when Rob says the T, it just stands out.
Yeah, it stands out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thank you so much, Rob, for telling us. And Daniela and I in the AMA community also focuses a lot on leadership, as well as the other groups that we are in. And I am super blessed to say all these communities, AMA, BLN, CLA, Underdog, Millionaire, Unleash You Now, all of those communities really impact, like you said, different groups, but also together we can, like Dr. Obam would say, we converge. And you were mentioning vision, and you were mentioning access, and you were mentioning, action, and you were mentioning service and community. And when we were talking about being stuck between a rock and a hard place, I mean, what do you do when you get to that place? You do introspection. You go into that place where you say, well, I'm absolutely, most definitely not at the place where I'm supposed to be. What is your vision, God, or what, universe or divine? What's your vision for me? And if you stay stuck in that stage of the vision and you don't go over to the action, you'll never reach the service in the community. So you said something very important, and that stuck with me. You said there are steps. And I want to say to the audience today, you first have to envision what you want to do and how you might think you can get out of that space. And then you have to take action, even if it's something small. But just take that step of courage, because then you realize you have to live a life of service with other people in a community. So just tell us about your experience about taking that vision and taking that action. What did that take for you when you were in a particular situation?
I'm writing down some notes. You just tied it together better than I did. That's really good. That's right. That's right? Because you need the vision. If you're going to take mindless action, it doesn't, I mean, it's good to get started. If you want to just like move, take action and start moving, that is good. But you really need to set the vision to really take the right kind of action. And if you're going to take action, be of service. And when you're of service, you start to build the community. So you are spot on. Well done. Congratulations. You passed the test that I didn't even know that I was giving you. Good job.
See that?
Now Daniela's life is also a very big, Rob is a very big example of that. So let's hear from you, Rob. How did you get unstuck? And then I would like to hear from Daniela as well. How did she get unstuck?
Well, for me, one of the big things that got me unstuck that was, oh man, it started about 7 years ago because I was in radio broadcasting for 20 years. So that was 20 years of my life. It's where I spent all my time in broadcasting. I loved radio. It was fun. But I knew that I was supposed to be doing more with my life, and I had no idea how to. So as far as the stages of that went, like I spent a solid 2 years while still in radio, just knowing that I had to do something else, and then taking the action steps to start to change. So I actually went into digital marketing, and I learned how to be a digital marketer. I built a social media following on my Facebook like fan page. You can search. It's called Rob Z. It's just Rob Z Radio, I believe, is the tag. If you look it up on Facebook, I can't get on it right now because my account was hacked and I'm banned until like March 26th or something like that. So if you see it, you'll see it. And I built that social media following. And while that was happening, I'm like, I know that I need to do more with this. I know I'm supposed to be doing more, supposed to have more impact in the world. And it dawned on me, okay, if I can do digital marketing, I can do this for companies. That's going to get me out of the place that I'm at right now, because I felt very stuck. Although I loved my job, I felt really stuck because I didn't have the mindset of like the growth mindset. I had a lack mindset of like, this is me. This is who I am. I don't know how to change. I can't change. I used to say that. I would say that to my ex-wife. I would say, I can't change. I'm not able to. You have to deal with me. So that was a mistake and a lie, right? And but I didn't know it. And as I got into digital marketing, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was kind of a bridge to get me from where I was to where I am now. And I'm very grateful for those 5 years of my life that I spent doing digital marketing. But that was actually like a unstuck process. And I really feel that this past year and a half has been like the full culmination of me getting fully unstuck from my old way of thinking in my life. But it had to go the way that it did. There had to be a bridge. There had to be something that got me out of that old phase of myself. So now I can see on the other side. And this is the interesting part. I think we all can attest to this. When we get unstuck, you can look back in the past and like hindsight's 2020. I can see what was happening the whole time now. I couldn't see it then. I had no idea that it was gonna lead me into coaching. It was gonna lead me into leadership. It was gonna lead me into something in my life that I didn't even know back then that I needed or wanted, but was something that God was bringing me towards. God was like leading me towards this place in my life. And so that was a long period of being unstuck with a bunch of little stuck areas inside of it. And I started to recognize that the more I grew, the more I changed, the more I evolved. Like life's an adventure. And I think this is the big thing that a lot of people miss out on, especially not chasing after your dreams, not growing, right? If we don't have a growth mindset, we lose the concept that life is an adventure and it's supposed to be lived as an adventure. It's supposed to be risky. You're supposed to not always know exactly what you're doing, but figuring it out along the way. And that's where my faith comes in, right? That God's going to guide me as I start to figure it out, as I start to take risk and start to put myself out there. It's going to all work out, and I have to have faith that's going to happen. But that's that unstuck part. We can get stuck because we get wrapped up in ourselves. We get wrapped up in what we want, what we think should be the right thing, instead of letting life take you where it takes you. And that's scary to do. It's risky to do. It sounds dangerous, but really, if you have faith, right? Faith the size of a mustard seed, then you know it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Wow.
It's exciting. If I hear the word adventure, I can be busy with whatever, then my attention is already there, because I also view life as an adventure. I love to have fun all the time. And I love the way you explained that. Daniela knows, because we had so much fun in Jersey, Daniela. My goodness.
Yeah.
Tell
We
us
sure
more.
did.
Yeah, tell us more, my sister, about how you got unstuck. I know you've faced so many trials in your life before, and you came out of each and every one victoriously, such as Rob has done as well. Tell us more about that, because I really look up to you when I read. I read Behind Closed Doors. When I was there with you, I read parts of it, and it was just amazing to see your story. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, it comes down to like two things, right? Belief and purpose. You know, for a long time, I didn't have belief in myself, right? We condition ourselves because of how people treat us or how we allow people to treat us, and think that that's what we deserve. Like that's where we should be. That's it for us. And for many years, you know, and my story goes back 30 plus years. And I still can't understand that, because if I'm 25, how does that even happen, right? Like, how does that make sense? Rob, are you good at math? Because I can't figure it out.
It sounds like you went through some sort of time portal or something
right?
like that.
Yes.
Something's going on.
Something. I don't know. But so, so this is way back, and, I was young, naive, very low self-esteem, and it took, some major things to happen in my life for me to wake up. And here's the thing. I wasn't in one, but 2 abusive relationships. So you would think, getting out of one, knowing I needed to get out of that I wouldn't just jump into another, right? But that's what happened, because this is what happens when we don't deal with our trauma, right? And we don't heal. We will just keep repeating and attracting the same. So that's what happened there. And then finally, there was just this, not to get, away from, because Rob is our main guest here, but not to get away and get into too much of that story. But there's always, for me in my life, something major that has to happen for me to wake up, right? Yeah. So that last, I want to say, confrontation with this person was really, really a serious situation where I was like, enough. I got up like I was the Incredible Hulk, you know what I mean? And like something just came over me, and I turned the tables, and I went I went after him, and it didn't turn out too well for me. But you know what? It but still.
But it got you unstuck.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, yeah, enough.
You
right?
flipped the script.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, right? And like it was just not that like what happened that day didn't happen many times previous, but for whatever reason that day, like, put a lit cigarette out on my leg, threw me across the room, and I was like, that's it, and that was it. Never looked back, and move forward. And then another time when I was stuck in my life, I went on to a healthy relationship for 20 plus years. But then when I realized I was stuck again when we're not fulfilled, right, in certain areas. So the death of my best friend woke me up again, like something major had to be for me to wake up, and I moved forward with that. And the last part of really getting unstuck and being where I am now was sharing my story, getting my story out there. And now it just, as you can see, the road I'm on with, helping other women with that and with other, traumas in your life. We cannot heal in secret. And that's what I was doing for 30 plus years, thinking, because I'm getting up every day, we think we go to work, we take care of our kids, and we're doing all these things. It's just robotic, right? But these things will creep up and manifest, if you're not dealing with them, manifest into some serious things. For me was depression, anxiety, eating disorder, suicidal thoughts, all these things. And I didn't know why until you open up that, what you buried for so long. And then you can move forward. So, to answer your question, it was just like major things. You got to have belief. And then I found my purpose. Mm-hmm. So finding my purpose is what got me unstuck.
It's amazing how, like, your vision, as you start to put your vision together for your life, it does really start to move you. And that is I guess it seems to me obvious now, but it wasn't obvious until like last year. Like, if I don't set this vision and I don't spend time really figuring, and Gordon Melville actually really helped me with this. We went through a number of weeks of working on this, and he really helped me to lay out, like, okay, figure it out. What is the vision for your life? What do you want it to look like? And as I get more clear on it, it pulls me forward. And I can see that now. I couldn't see that before, but I think so many people have such a hard time getting out of the places they're at in their life because they have no vision for what it could be like. They have no vision for what they are really put on earth to do. Like, what are we here for? And that really is to one of my opinions is, like, it really is to make your mess your message. The things that were difficult for you that you went through, you need to use those things to help other people.
Exactly. And, right.
Like, for me, Daniela, you were saying about, low confidence and low self-esteem. That was also me. I think that's why when I was young, I got into broadcasting. I didn't even realize it. I was bad at communicating with people. Like I said, I used to mumble a lot. Like, I was not confident in, like, who I was, and I didn't know how to, like, get the thoughts in my head out of my mouth. I didn't know how to do it. They were like trapped in there. So the more I could figure that out, which is what radio helped me with. It helped me to, like, learn how to speak confidently in front of people. And that took a long time, really, to feel confident in that. But I noticed now, looking back, it was all designed that way. to get me to where I am. And now one of the next things I really feel like I need to help people with is I went through years of addiction also, right? So coming through years of addiction and being able to help people on that path, because now that I'm out of it, I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't need to be in there for that long, but I think I did. Like, it seemed like I did. I mean, I could have cut some years off, but I learned so many powerful lessons. And I learned, man, how difficult that place is, because how many people are suffering in that place right now? Like, how many people are suffering in that place of unworthiness, and we feel unfulfilled. We feel like there's a hole in our life, and we try to fill that hole with everything else. Now, for me, that hole was filled with God, with Jesus. That's what really helped me and pulled me out of that place that I was at. But the other part of it was the vision that was given to me. And I just want to share this. I feel like this is really important. Oftentimes, like when I had like my addiction issues, I couldn't be around, like I couldn't be in this environment that I'm in right now because I felt unworthy, right? So I couldn't put myself around good people, who I saw as good people, because I had this like secret thing that was in the background running, and I had to hide it from everybody. And it wasn't something that people might not even really care, or they wouldn't judge me necessarily, but I was judging myself the whole time. So until I got myself past that, I was unable to put myself in better circles in my life. And that was a really interesting, like you're saying about an unstuck, like a wake-up call. I was in a men's group at my church, and I realized I can't keep living like a double life. And it's just in my head, but I can't live this double life in my head because I feel unworthy around these men of God. I need to get myself out of this place. And that really helped and forced me to get unstuck from that place where I was at. And the amazing thing was that it wasn't even me who did it. It was a guy in my men's group who also admitted that he had a problem, right? So he stepped up and admitted this. And he was one of the main leaders at the church. And he said he'd been going through this thing, and he admitted that. And I was like, wow, man, if he can admit this, I can admit this too. And then we actually became accountability buddies and like worked our way through the whole process. So it was incredible.
I love that. I was thinking as you were speaking, that's the point of why we do this. That's the point of Behind Closed Doors. That's the point of Spiritual Fitness Survivor. That's the point of Born to Risk, because there's so many people in the church, in the place that you work, where you rub shoulders with, that are also silently going through those struggles. This gives you a voice, and this is going to help give other people a voice. We don't have to hide. Other people in here, you hear it. And I was a pastor for 15 years. Church leaders go through life. They are not in a bubble where they are protected. They go through life. There's lots of people going through addiction that other people don't know. If they have the opportunity, if you have the courage to write your story in this book, and this book divinely, and I mean, that happens every day. God's working behind the scenes. This book reaches someone, and it frees them, and it liberates them. That is the epitome of having a purpose on earth. We go through these things so that they may serve others, so that we can uplift the community. And Daniela is busy with that, with the anthology. You are, and the Alma show, and you are busy with that, with your podcast and everything that you're doing in your coaching. So how did you feel that day? And I don't know if you mentioned how long you were addicted. How long did you have that addiction, Rob?
Oh, well, there's a couple different ones, but it was overall.
Rob's like, there was a couple.
This is the good stuff, guys. This is the good stuff.
Up until I mean, man, it was a long time. Probably about longer than I was in radio. Probably 20. It started when I was about 17 or 18, maybe. So. Like 20, like 25 years, somewhere around there.
How did you feel that day when you spoke up, when you liberated yourself, when you broke that silence and that hold on you?
Well, there wasn't necessarily a day, but it was, I was just reflecting on it last night. I journal every night, and I just write down 3 different things: something I'm celebrating, something I love myself for, and something of gratitude in my life. And I was just reflecting on, like, those thoughts are gone. That's the amazing part. And that's what God can do, is he eliminates the thoughts.
Yeah.
And it took so long to, I was always like praying, just get these thoughts out of my head. I'm sick of having these thoughts, like those urges, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just not there. So whenever I have that realization, that's such a relief. It's like, oh wow, that's right. I'm not burdened by these incessant thoughts that won't shut up. Because that's really, when it comes down to addiction, right? That for me, that's what it was.
Yes.
Like this repeating
It's true.
thought. Oh my God. It
It's
was like,
true.
it wouldn't shut up. It's like it's like you're possessed, right? You're possessed by like this thing that has a hold of you. So when I think about that, and I think about the relief that comes from that, because it was always like at night, it was always like end of the night and I'm winding down, or if I'm stressed out, right? And man, it's just such a relief. It's such a weight off my shoulders. And another part of that I wanted to share also, and I'm really glad that I'm here today, because on this Amish show with the two of you, because I haven't really talked about this before. This is something that I haven't really shared, and I've been telling myself for a long time that I'm gonna share, but I just haven't done it yet. So I think this is amazing, actually, because I'm at the right place to like start to share it.
Oh,
So thank you for that.
That's great, Rob. That's a beautiful thing. And is there anyone, Juanita, that's trying to get in to join us?
Not at the moment that I see. Not at the moment that I see.
Okay.
No.
I see
wanted
that
to make
Gabby had
sure.
said that like there was internet
Yes.
problems.
Yeah, her device doesn't want to log on today, but she really wanted to hop on. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rob, thank you for sharing that, because believe me, I know it's not, that's not an easy thing, but I'm sure it feels like some kind of a relief just to get it out and say it, right? Because now you're victorious over that. Like, before the addiction had you, now you have control over that, and those thoughts are gone. And tell people what is it now, like your main mission? I know you have your share with me again. It's impact.
Oh,
can you repeat that?
Lead, impact, and transform.
Right. Share with, who are you? Everyone, like we all do our certain things
like
with what we share. Like, who is your target really with what you do?
So my target really is me about 7 years ago. And it could be a man or a woman. I tend to work with more women. I think women are more open to coaching than guys are initially, right? I work with more guys when it comes to business, more women when it comes to personal things. And my target, though, is somebody who knows they're meant for more in life, right? They might be stuck in a 9-to-5 job. They might make decent money at that job. They might even actually like that job. 66% of people are disengaged at work, which is a crazy number. Like 66% are not working from their strengths in their job. So my mission is to help people find their strengths that helps to encourage them. They want to create a life of their own. They want to create, whether it be a side hustle that they want to create, or they want to actually be an entrepreneur and start their own business, but to help them on that journey. Because for me, that was the awakening. That was like the necessary part of my journey that I had to go through to get to where I'm at right now. And you've no idea, if you've never taken that leap, what that feels like to break out of that place, to really challenge yourself, to go on the adventure, and the personal development that comes along with it. So I'd love to find people who really are desperate. They're honestly, the word is desperate. Like they need to get out of that job. They need to create their own thing. They have to take their life to a new level. They have to challenge themselves. They have to change. And they don't even know that they need to be leaders yet necessarily, and help them on that journey of what does it look like to transition out of your job to start your career? How do you actually do that? How do you set up the LLC? How do you tell your family? How do you get in the right mindset around it? Because people are going to doubt that you can do it, right? So how do you do it? How do you move through that? And that's where the 4 pillars come from. You got to have a vision that's going to take you out of that. My vision got so strong when I was leaving radio of what I was going to do. I didn't even realize the word then, but my vision was so strong that it pulled me out of that job into creating something new. I took a lot of action in that period of my life. I learned that I had to be of service to people. That was something I'd never really had thought of before, although I was doing it in radio. And then I had to build that community of good people around me. And I want to help people on that journey to discover a new part of themselves, because it really does open up a new part of yourself. And I don't know if either of you've experienced this.
Yes.
But the cool thing was when I left my job and I started my own company, the cool thing was that I live in a town where I didn't think there was a lot of positive people around. I was like in radio, and it seemed like everybody was just kind of going through the motions, and people, they were good people, but they weren't like excited about life, right? And as I got out of radio and I started my own company, I started meeting all these people that were like super excited about their life. And I'm like, these people are everywhere. But like, if you're not in that mindset, it's like your reticular activating system.
Yeah.
You never find them. I was like, wow, man, there's so many good people around here. And that just kept going. So I want to help people understand that journey, learn that journey, and help walk them through it. That's my idea.
I love that. I wanted to ask you, you were saying something about stopping the voices, and I saw in my mind's eye, your day ending and you're just unwinding, and that was the time that you would like go over into the addictions. How did you stop those? Because it was stress. It's stress that drives most of the people to addictions. How did you stop the voices, and how do you now positively deal with stress?
Good question.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different things. One of the things was jujitsu. That was something that I think really has helped me in a major way. Crazy how martial arts do that. But jujitsu for me has been something that I wouldn't want to say it's a new addiction, because it's not a new addiction, but it's like something that, man, I think about on a regular basis. And it seems to, there's something about it that has changed who I am. I think worthiness is the word that comes up the most. So also my faith was number one, right? So how did those voices stop? I started really leaning into, like, God says I'm worthy. He says that I'm created perfectly, like, and that hole, that void that I feel, and everybody who's addicted knows what this is about. You feel an emptiness, a void. And it says in the Bible that, God put eternity in our hearts. Only he can fill it. And I know I have to share that because that's what happened to me. Like, I knew there was a hole, a void that had to be filled. I could tangibly feel that through my addiction, right? And so as I started to really lean in to God and the people at my church and finding better people in my life, that started to slowly be filled over time. It seems like for me, things don't seem to happen all at once. They seem to happen over a very long, gradual period of time, which
like a jiu-jitsu move unfolds.
It can really suck. It's like, oh, why is this taking so long? But then again, when something takes a long time, it's what's that called? Crystallized memory, I think is what it's called. Like, it crystallized it for me of like, I know because I know. And it's interesting. You hear that, like, when you really know, there's no other question. Like, you really know. And so I feel like when I learn things, I really know them because I spent a long time learning lessons, and man, that just cements it. But as far as that voice goes, I did meditation for a long time, and that voice was still there. But it seemed like there's a pivotal moment in November of last year. I was praying and meditating on the word, and I was really trying to work on forgiveness towards my dad. And God gave me this word, right? It just like hit me like a wave. And I felt like this, I felt a weight taken off my shoulders. I literally felt like a weight was taken off of me. And basically the message was everything happened exactly how it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It couldn't have happened any other way. If it could have, it would have. It didn't because it couldn't. And that is perfect. And that for me was like this message of like, cool.
Wow. Love that.
That's a moment I can point to that was like a tangible shift.
Yeah. Wow.
So how do you handle stress now? When you're feeling stressed or tired, give the audience some tips, because you're always so calm and collected. I love that. You're always just like, you're strong, and you're the strong, silent type. And just tell us, how do you handle stress for someone out there that maybe doesn't want to rush to the addictions anymore? Maybe they can apply what you do, and it can work for them as well.
Well, one of the best ways to get rid of your addictions or to get rid of that tension that we build up is exercise. I mean, we all know that in this room. Like, getting rid of that tension is everything. So daily or bi-daily exercise. Jiu-jitsu has been incredibly helpful for that. Something that just like, bleh. I just like, it's like everything just bleh, is off me. You know, when you leave jiu-jitsu and you're like, I felt like everything that I had was just gone. Like everything that I was carrying around is just it does not exist anymore. So that's one of the things as I've learned is a really powerful way of changing your state where you can't remember anything that was even bothering you beforehand. And if you still are thinking about it, it doesn't have the same impact that it did before. Right. Prayer for me is another great one. I mean, prayer is everything. It's something that I've really anchored myself to that gets me through so many difficult things. And if you're not a person of faith, I mean, meditation also is incredibly powerful. It really is very helpful. Another big thing for me was the community, the people. If I'm having a stressed day or I'm feeling doubtful about myself or I'm down on myself, I call somebody that I love in my life. I mean, I have a couple of mentors. I have a coach. I have a community of people that I can go to. So I go to them too. Having an amazing conversation always lifts your spirits. Giving your perspective to somebody else who can see a different perspective in what you're going through really helps to lift your spirits and help you see your dynamic, your world dynamic in a whole different way. So that's been incredibly powerful, and something that so many people that I talk to, right? People love being alone. They feel like they need to be alone. They're like the lone wolf, or they just like, they don't find themselves in a place where they can open up and be vulnerable with people. And that's something that we really need to do if we want to grow. If we need to grow, and that's something we feel inside of us, we need good people around us to share those things with. Another one of the things is just doing something, just doing anything. I found for me, one of the biggest parts of my life, one of the main reasons that I was stuck throughout my life was because of procrastination and inactivity. And inactivity breeds stress. Inactivity breeds anxiety, right? So it breeds that is procrastination. So just take an action. Like, what am I doing right now? Why am I not feeling okay? I need to just take action in some area. Make a to-do list. That for me, it's funny how the simplest things are the best things. But for me, a to-do list, which is sitting right beside me right now, like at all times, like it's always like with me on a yellow notepad or like in my phone. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling anxious or you're not sure what to do, you need to get all the thoughts out of your head onto paper. I know that you know that, right? It's like getting the thoughts out onto paper. Now I can look at them. Now I can categorize them. And now I can actually tackle them and go after them and accomplish them. And if we do that, then that's going to really help move us forward. Those are the big things for me. It's simple stuff. It's really simple things, but I think everybody needs their own practice and really needs to find their own practice. It's interesting that life is so simple. It can be really difficult, but it's not complicated.
Yes.
We make it complicated, but it doesn't need to be. It can be really, really simple, but it's the discipline, right? The simple daily disciplines that have a big impact.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Rob. And, you said something earlier, things happen the way they're supposed to. And, I've always thought back, like a lot of people, when things happen, they're like, well, why me? Why is this happening? And, that's one thing I know I've never said to myself, why me? Why not me? Right? This is, things happen in your life, good, bad, and different. My dad always used to say, like, you have to take the good with the bad. Nobody has a life where every day it's just smooth sailing and nothing goes wrong. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. Right? So anything bad, I look back from the very beginning to now that has happened has formed who I am today, right? Has transformed me into who I am today. I wouldn't be who I am today, the strong, independent, woman helping other women and doing what I do if those things did not happen. So, I'm actually grateful, right? And I'm sure you are. Like, everything happened for a reason. And that's why, you're doing what you're doing. Juanita is doing what she's doing. And, everyone is just on the path to their purpose, right? Which is to help and serve other people. So we have a couple of minutes left. Rob, two things. Number one, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah.
And what is your really strong message you want to leave with the audience today?
Well,
who's struggling? I should finish that. Who's
Yeah.
struggling with the things that you struggled with?
First of all, the best way to get a hold of me, my website is leadimpacttransform.com. So you can schedule a discovery call there. It's leadimpacttransform.com. You can even just text me or call me. I don't mind giving my phone number out because I feel like that's the best connection I can make with people. So if you want to call me or text me, please do. 814-312-7273. 814-312-7273. Or you can go to my Facebook page, which is Rob Z Wentz. That's WENTZ. You can contact me in any of those ways, really. And let's have a discussion. Let's talk about what's going on in your life. I love to have those conversations, just like I love to have this conversation. That's why I have the podcast, right? Because I love to have these conversations. It's so meaningful. I think the thing I'd love to share, which for me has been a statement that keeps ringing true in my head over and over again, I use it every single day, is life happening to me or is life happening for me? I mean, that's something that for me has had so much impact. My mentor, Ray, gave me that a couple of years ago, and I didn't understand it when he first said it. I didn't get it. I was like, is life happening to me or for me? What the heck does that even mean? And it pops up over and over again. It's like, okay, so today, like yesterday, one of those days where it just felt like the whole day blew by and I feel like I didn't get the things done I wanted to get done. And I was like, okay, so it felt like life happened to me. But if life was happening for me today, it's pointing to things because life's constantly pointing to things that we need to grow in to get to where we need to go. And so for me, it's like, I need to structure my day better. Why was today haywire? Because I forgot my son had a doctor's appointment. That's one of the reasons it went haywire. That threw a wrench in my plans. Another one was that I had a podcast scheduled with somebody and she called me and I was like, oh, I didn't know we had a podcast today. I thought we were just having a conversation. Just like little things like that like something that was going to be a 10-minute conversation had to turn into a 40-minute conversation. So it highlighted to me, it's illuminating the fact that I need to structure my day better if I want to reduce stress in my life. So simple example for all of us of that is, man, if something's going on in your life that doesn't feel like it's good, is it happening to you? If that's the case, then you're going to be the victim. But if it's happening for you, it's an opportunity every day to grow. And we have opportunities every single day to grow and be a better version of ourselves. And I think that's what life is challenging us to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love that. Beautiful.
And I think Rob, I'm sorry, Juanita. I think Rob, since we failed to mention it's Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day. I think Rob's phone is going to get flooded now that he gave his phone number out on Valentine's Day. He's going to get flooded with offers to go out on a date.
Oh my goodness. Oh, he's got courage. He does. He's got a lot of courage. It was such a lovely Arma show. It was a different Arma show today, but here at Arma, when something happens and we have to adapt, we do that because we are highly adaptable and we get things done. So it was amazing to have our phenomenal friend Rob Z here today, the beautiful Daniela. You both are incredible podcast hosts. So I feel like I was in this powerful room with you for over 40 minutes. Thank you so much for everyone sharing. Any final words from Rob and any final words from Daniela before we rock this day with our daily tasks?
I just want to say thank you. My final words are thank you to the two of you and Emilio. It's just awesome to be a part of the AMA community and to know such wonderful people. So I just want to thank you for the time today.
Oh, thank you, Rob. And, same here. And Juanita, you're amazing as well. Love your podcast, Meticulous Moments.
Yeah.
I think we've both been on that. You're doing amazing things as well. You're also our communications director. We're so grateful to you for what you do. And Juanita's just amazing. So just, happy Valentine's Day, guys. Whether, if you celebrate it, you don't celebrate. Some people are like, it's another day. But, it's supposed to be about love, right? But, look at my heart. Does that look like a heart? Look at this. I'm like, it's about love.
It's supposed to be about a rectangle.
It's like a triangle. But I think you did get the point. Every day should be about love, right? Just, love on one another, be kind. And it's about serving people and living your purpose. So we're going to leave you with that. And you know what, Juanita, do you mind taking us out in prayer? I think that would be just lovely to end this show.
Of course, that would be a privilege. Thank you so much for asking, Daniela. Lord God, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for this opportunity to be able here, Lord. We are all across the world, the globe, and yet we are here connected. And you say, Lord, that you will go before us and make the way straight. We really pray that the people in the audience today that feel stuck, that they've received this message from you, Lord, that they've received the tips and the tools, and that they will really cast that vision. Take that action, Lord. Start to serve in their communities, Lord, and just be out there proactive and walking in courage and in faith. We thank you that you are the giver of good gifts, Lord, and that you bring that light into the world. Help us to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world. And thank you for Alma, because here at Alma, we want to spread love to everyone that we meet. We want to accept them. We want to encourage them. Thank you for the platforms that you make available. But most of all, Lord, thank you that you are you. Thank you that we can depend on you and trust you. We glorify you and pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you so
Bye,
much for that.
everyone.
Bye.
All right,
Thank
see ya.
you. Love you all.
You guys, bye.
Bye bye.